Been a whirlwind week for Auston Matthews, to say the least. So here's a closer look at his statistics in his first game back with the Toronto Maple Leafs. 22 minutes, 23 minutes of ice time. The only Leaf forward who skated over 22 minutes in this hockey game. Toronto has a stretch of 6 games in 9 days coming out of the Olympic break. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, you don't know what you've got till it's gone. So here's Cameron Gaunce, our NHL analyst, to chat about this Leafs loss. Tough start for the Leafs coming out of the Olympic break, Cam, and they fall, first of all, to the best team in the Eastern Conference. Let's never forget about that. But they are 6 points out of a playoff spot with 24 games remaining. So if you're Leaf management, that would be Mr. Brad Treliving. How would you approach the next week and a half as we head to the trade deadline?
If I'm Brad Treliving, I'm counting my money. Then I'm moving on to what to do with the Leafs. I think the Leafs have to be at a point where they're selling. They have to realize that they've made the playoffs 9 years in a row. That's a wonderful accomplishment. But in that time, they've essentially left their cupboards bare. This is a time to recoup a few of those losses, if you want to call them that. I think they have to move on from McMahon. Yes, he might want to come back. He might decide he's going to come back, and they're trying to get him back, but you need to replenish some of those assets, and he's probably one of the best opportunities to do that. And he's in UFA. He could end up coming back when it comes to July. Next thing, I think having Waugh and having Lawton are a redundancy. Both players need to be around 15 minutes a night to be as effective as they possibly can. But if you're playing them both 12 minutes, you're not getting the optimal level from either of them. So you need to decide which one of them is your better fix long term. And I'd move a defenseman. They can bring back all their defensemen because all of them under contract, aside from Troy Stetch for next year, but they need to make themselves more capable of moving the puck. They need to get more fluid, and I think moving one of them could give you a decent yield.
Auston Matthews, the fact that he had an assist and played 23 minutes is just a testament to what a terrific hockey player he is, despite the fact that he's probably exhausted at this point. And I loved the reporter who asked him immediately after he won the gold medal about how this would potentially affect the Maple Leafs, and he said, just let me have a second.
The Leafs. It needs to be about the Leafs.
Let me have a second here, guys. So now that we've had a few days to digest it, now we can ask about the Leafs. How do you think? I've never seen him happier. Put it that way, Cam. When he won that gold medal, I've never seen a smile like that on Auston Matthews' face. That's got to carry over somewhat, doesn't it?
Parts of it, but overall, I don't see it. The way he played in those Olympics, he was a 200-feet beast. He was dominating both ends of the rink, not as much so in the offensive end, and that's how the Leafs need him to play. If the Leafs are going to be successful, they need him putting up 50 to 60 goals and around that 100-point pace. Unfortunately, the way he played in the Olympics, though it was winning hockey, which Auston Matthews always has played, he's always been good on the defensive side, blocked shots, won faceoffs, played against other teams' top lines. In order for him to be as successful as the Leafs need him to be, and that's the 50, 60 goals, some of that defensive style he played in the Olympics is going to have to go away. Because other players that were as dominant as he was defensively, if you think of Barkov, if you think of Kopitar before that, if you think of Bergeron, all their best offensive seasons, their teams weren't as successful. When they were around that 80-point range, that's when their teams won Stanley Cups. That's when their teams had deep runs. But if the Leafs are expecting Matthews to be one of those players, but also put 50, 60 goals, that's just not going to be conducive to them win and him, playing that style. And yes, there are some things he can take away. That high of winning, he's going to want to experience that again. But aside from that, I just don't see it because of how he had to play.
Now, one of your former teams, the Pittsburgh Penguins, announced on Wednesday that Sidney Crosby will miss at least the next 4 weeks. It's a lower body injury. We saw it at the Olympics. He suffered the injury at the Olympics, tried to come back and play, couldn't do it. So Pittsburgh, one of the surprises in the NHL this season, and made a pretty interesting trade that we're going to talk about. I know you want to talk about just yesterday. But do you give them any chance at all without Sid for the next month to actually make the postseason?
I do, because I can see them treading water.
Right.
They've done it earlier this year when they were out Evgeny Malkin, who's arguably their second most important player behind Crosby. They were able to sustain that level of success that they've had. Yes, Crosby's more important to that team. He's one of the most important players to a team in the league. But they can do it. They have shown the capability to alter their lineup, to find players who are playing better. They've had a lot of players this year having career seasons, and that's not going to change because not all of them are on the ice with Crosby all the time. It's the system that they're playing, the opportunities they're getting offensively and defensively that is going to maintain them and sustain them through this time.
And I want to mention the fact that they made this trade yesterday, the Sam Girard, Brett Kulak trade. They got some incredible stuff for Tristan Jarry. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. The Pittsburgh Penguins, and this is what we got to give Kyle Dubas his flowers a little bit here, Cam. They turned Tristan Jarry into Stuart Skinner, a goalie you could argue is playing better than Tristan Jarry, Sam Girard, and 2 second-round picks. Not a bad bit of business from Kyle Dubas.
I'm a big fan of Sam Girard, too. Some of his defensive metrics aren't the best, but he's got all the attributes to be a good defender. He skates well. He's got a very good stick. Some of his reads can improve, but that will happen with more time. And like you talk about, that's just a couple of the moves he's made. Some of the moves Dubas made in the offseason, bringing in Brazeau, bringing in Mantha, who are both having very good resurgence for Mantha and a career year for Brazeau. Like those types of players, he's done a great job. The other move that is going a bit undershadowed is picking up Chinnikov from Columbus. He's got 8 goals in 18 games for them. That is a huge, huge number for them to get those type of numbers from someone that they were going to get essentially as a reclamation project. Now he's out there putting up those type of numbers. If you can get players like that and continue to restock, as he talked about, those 2 second-round picks, you're going to have success in the now and in the future. Oh, and by the way, their first-round pick from last year, Ben Kindle, is having an excellent season for them. It seems to be going every way that they want successfully for Dubas right now, and that's why, back to your first question, I see the success continuing while Crosby's gone.
It's amazing because so many people wrote this team off before the season.
I was one of them. I was one of them.
And you could hardly blame people after what happened last year, and everyone thought, okay, we're going to be talking about Sid maybe moving at the deadline or whatever. Obviously, he's going to stick around. Hopefully, he gets healthy in time for a possible postseason run. Thanks for this, Cam.
No problem.